Thanks for watching. Time for another update on my game project here. You may have already noticed it is now growing grass. So what's happening now is that the surface slowly fills in with grass, and the grass is mostly just based on color at this point. So you can see that it recolors the surface feature accordingly. You can see that it grows on any open space. And when they walk, if you look carefully, they actually trample the grass. So you get like a busy area and it starts to, the stone underneath starts to show through, which is pretty fun, I think. And then over time, the grass just comes back. I have no idea if the pace or the rate that the grass grows will stay like this or not. But in any case, it's fun to see it slowly get more green as time goes on. That's just a minor thing. The thing I was going to talk about today is pathfinding. So I've had pathfinding for a while, obviously, and it's been fine just using normal A star, but it gets very slow sometimes. And previously, I had come up with a scheme to make it faster, because one of the things you have to know in a game like this a lot is simply whether or not you can get from point A to point B or not. Right? Sometimes it's not important to know how to get there. You just have to know if you can get there, so you can schedule things like, should I pick up the tool or should I dig out the wall? And that question was difficult because the worst case scenario for pathfinding is when there isn't a path, because it has to check all possible paths to rule out the possibility of there being no path. And so that's pretty terrible, because to check a path, it goes from cell to cell. Like, can I walk here? Can I walk here? Can I walk here? It goes from cell to cell. And in a 3D world, with several Z levels, that's a lot of cells, obviously. So the trick is to narrow that down. So what I had done in the past was I basically did a flood fill of all of the surfaces, and then I would follow the ramps down and everything like that. So like every tile would be marked with like a zone code, like zone 1 or zone 2, zone 3, whatever. And that meant that if your target and your destination was in the same zone, then you could walk there, right? That's an easy test. Once that's determined, I would do an actual normal A star, but that would still be sometimes slow, because A star has issues when it starts to go around edges and it becomes very like maze-like. And that's even worse when your target and destination are like right above each other in 3D, but you have to go way out of your way to get there, because the algorithm's telling it that you're really close. You're only one square above or one square below, and so it'll try searching here and expand outward until it finds a way. So anyway, to solve that, I decided to take my idea of zones and break them down farther. So now, instead of all connected surfaces being a zone, I now have this handy key, and you can see that the zones are sort of blocky. Not quite, but sort of blocky. So anything in zone 5 here is reachable from within itself, right? Anything in 6 is reachable. I can change the levels. The zones are only on one Z level. They stop when there are changes in Z level, so you get a new zone. So the zones are only 2D. So you know that a zone is traversable within itself. Right? So after I determine the zones, I then go through again and connect them so that this zone knows that it can connect to this one, and it knows it can connect to this one, and vice versa. So I build a basic kind of connection graph sort of situation. And then, well, let's see here. I'll turn this on. So here's my debugger for looking at paths. So what happens then is that now, instead of pathfinding over the whole world, it pathfinds a rough, like a coarse path from the zone, so it knows zone connectivity. And then once it gets that done, it knows if it can reach there or not. And if it can, it then pathfinds pretty much like normal, but what it does is it makes waypoints. So I didn't color them on this debug, but basically there's a waypoint at every zone transition. So right about here would be a waypoint, and then as you go, there would be a waypoint, and you cross this line, there would be a waypoint like about here. And it figures out these waypoints during the course like top level pathfind. And then after it's done that, it pathfinds from waypoint to waypoint, which dramatically reduces the amount of the world that it has to search. So, so what we're seeing here is the X's are cells that were visited by the pathfinding algorithm but discarded. The actual path is obviously the @ sign. And so as you can see, as I drag this around, it almost never strays from the path. I mean, only to get around little maze-like obstacles does it ever really have to check. And that's a huge improvement, because previously I would do these paths and the initial first part might be really easy, and then it would hit a wall, and then it would just, the map would be filled with X's because it was trying all sorts of things. So you can see I can switch Z levels and my path is still connected, and still almost never mistakenly goes the wrong way, because it made a few mistakes during that initial waypoint search. But since there's so few of those waypoints, so few zones, it's not a big problem, right? See, like you can see down here when it gets mazy that it tries several different ways to get through there optimally. But still, compared to before, this is nothing. Previously, it would have probably gone up here to the next level to try to come down, and that's an obviously longer path. It ruled that out with the broad phase. So anyway, I think that's the primary thing that I wanted to talk about today. Just show off that I got my hierarchical pathfinding working pretty well. Oh, I should have been using this debug view. This one, it highlights the zone that you're in, wherever the cursor is. So you see it's zone 6, and then it tells you the neighboring zones, like where it connects to. So if you go over here, you're in zone 7, see how they connect. That's roughly similar to the kind of data I have inside the map. There's like an object for the cell, and then there's a set of the points that connect and then where they connect to. So it can do the coarse grain pathfind. So I can turn these both on. So I go from here to here. It only involves these two zones, obviously. So that rules out the whole rest of the map, which is great. And even better, it decides where on the zone border that waypoint should be, right? It doesn't just say that the border's the waypoint. It actually picks one, and then so that makes the pathfinding just really fast. In any case, that's I guess that's the main cool thing this week. That and the grass, which I think adds a lot of fun, like atmosphere or something. I really love seeing that, and just for fun, I can dig stuff out. It's a little slow because it has to rebuild. You can't really tell here, but it has to rebuild all of the zones every time the world changes. So there's a lot going on. It's surprisingly fast, though. So I can do that, and I change floors to be pluses because they look a little better, and so you can see when they go back and forth that they're trampling the grass, and it's all good, and it's fast, and pathfinding, and yay! All right, that's it. Thanks for listening.